Good morning and happy Halloween. And due to that, there will be no meditation tonight. There's no obvious spiritual connection, but we want everybody to be home with their candy. I am Ren Manning, the member of the Church Vestry Board, and I serve as treasurer this year, which will become evident from the monetary nature of my remarks. Welcome to the Unitarian Church in Charleston and our worship service. We are an inclusive community of inspiration, love, and service committed to creating a better world. Well, publicity is good, however it comes. Who looked at the newspaper this morning, the Post and Courier? Anybody see section F? There was a wonderful article in there featuring Buxton Books, which runs ghost tours through our churchyard out of their small independent bookstore on King Street, right where Jacob's Alley exits. As many of you know, our church receives significant revenue from that ghost tour business, and also as rent from the upper floor of the annex. I've often thought it would be fun for us to get together a church group to take that Buxton ghost tour. In the meantime, keep spreading rumors of Annabelle Lee to drive their business and our revenue. After the service today, there will be several opportunities for an informal fellowship. If you are on Zoom and would like to do that, select that option to join a breakout room after the service. For those here in the sanctuary, please join us in the churchyard for refreshment and the opportunity to get a leg up on your Christmas shopping and decorations, courtesy of the church's Alliance. You see, because of COVID, the Alliance has not been able to run its famous rummage sales. To make up for lost revenues, it is selling Christmas wreaths. The orders must be in by November 5th, and the wreaths will be delivered to Gage Hall for pickup in early December. Buy for yourself, buy as gifts, and tell your family, friends, and neighbors about this wonderful opportunity. Take a look at this after the service at the refreshment table in the courtyard to see samples and place your order. You will also be able to order your wreaths through Breeze. But before jumping to Christmas, we need to pause for Thanksgiving. To get your Thanksgiving spirits flowing, our Sunday morning service on November 14th will be al fresco at James Island County Park. Bring your own food and drink, as well as chairs or blankets. Hopefully, foul weather gear will not be required. We'll be at the Stono Shelter. You can also bring your instruments to jam with the late model children who will be providing music during and after the service. Please also bring a canned good or 2 or 3, which will be donated to 180 Place. This service won't be broadcast virtually, so we hope you will join us in person and bring some friends. Watch the gateway for more details. Our silent auction kicks off this coming Friday at 5 p.m. and runs for 1 week. This is a major fundraiser for our church, so dip into your savings, sell your stocks, take out a home equity loan, and get positioned to bid extravagantly. Check out the gateway for details, including how to take an early sneak peek at what's on the auction block. The live auction is scheduled for Saturday night, January 22nd, and we are planning for this event to be in person, as always, in Gage Hall. Again, check the gateway for details and updates as we get closer to that time, and there is still time for you to select items to donate or services to put on the auction block. If you are a visitor and would like to learn more about our church and the process for membership, or would like to receive our weekly Gateway newsletters, please so indicate in the chat box. If you are worshiping with us in person, you can let Danielle know after the service, and then she will note and get you on the Gateway list. Okay, there will be a candle lighting event during the service. If you are worshiping through Zoom, please take a moment and go get a candle and a lighter for the appropriate time that will come up. Please remember to put your electronic devices into worship mode. And thanks for everyone for worshiping with us this morning, and welcome to church. And now I would like to introduce Trip Banner for a few words about planned giving.
Good morning. As we remember loved ones today, we would like to share the names of several people who have passed away in the last several years and have left a legacy gift to the church. These individual gifts continue to enrich our church while supporting our vision and mission. Some of these names are Will Mordock, Fabian Schupper, Rosemary Nelson Hutto, Don and Joan Harth, Robert and Gail Schultz. You can see the list of bequesters on the Samuel and Carolyn Gilman Society plaque as you exit the sanctuary on your right, immediately as you go out the door. And we will be adding some other names, including some of these, to the plaque soon. At our church home, these people continually express their love and support for our vision and mission, and their gifts have enhanced several things. One, our music program each Sunday, enabling us to have special candlelight services and afternoon concerts. Support the upkeep, improvements, and master planning for our churchyard. It has helped broaden social justice actions and support in our community. Legacy givers and current pledging members have worked with the Planned Giving Committee members to ensure their gifts represent their desires for the long-term support and mission of the church. The current pledgers are recognized in the Gilman Legacy Builders Group listed in Gage Hall. It's on the north wall of Gage Hall. Most gifts often go into our general endowment, but may also go to special endowment funds, providing the financial foundation for annual gifts to social justice, churchyard improvements, and music enrichment. These gifts have immensely enhanced lives inside and outside the walls of our church. If you have any questions about creating your own legacy and planned giving, anyone on our committee would be happy to speak with you, and no gift is too small. Our planned giving members who have given a lot of their time are Prudence Finn, Hillary Hutchinson, who is co-chair of our committee, Sue Weller, and Steve Wilson. Thank you.
They Are With Us Still by Kathleen McTeague. In the struggles we choose for ourselves, in the ways we move forward in our lives and bring our world forward with us, it is right to remember the names of those who gave us strength in the choice of living. It is right to name the power of hard lives well lived. We share a history with those lives. We belong to the same motion. They too were strengthened by what had gone before. They too were drawn on by the vision of what might come to be. Those who lived before us, who struggled for justice and suffered injustice before us, have not melted into the dust, have not disappeared. They are with us still. The lives they lived hold us steady. Their words remind us and call us back to ourselves. Their courage and love evoke our own. We, the living, carry them with us. We are their voice, their hands, and their hearts. We take them with us, and with them choose the deeper path of living.
I'd like to thank Kathleen King for joining us today to light our chalice. As we kindle the flame, we honor and remember those who have passed into the mystery. Their brightness lives on in our vision. Their courage lives on in our commitments. And their love continues to bless the world around us. Thank you, Kathleen.
Now I get to share with you what we call a time for all ages. And today I have the magical Wonder Box, which feels awfully light today. And honestly, I was shaking it earlier and really couldn't hear a thing. But let's see what we have in our Wonder Box. Oh my goodness. It's the longest invisible string I've ever seen. Of course I can't see it. It's called an invisible string. Do you know what an invisible string is? It is a string made of love that connects all of us. Now you may have some questions about this invisible string, because if you can't see it, and you can't touch it, it's kind of hard to understand what it is. Let me see if I can answer some of those questions for you. For example, how far can the invisible string travel? Well, it can travel anywhere and everywhere. For example, when my daughter goes to school, I can still feel the invisible string of love in my heart, and I know she can feel it in her heart too. Now, you may wonder if your pet has an invisible string, and let me tell you, they do. There's a lot of love there for that pet. And you may wonder if someone who is no longer on this earth with us still has an invisible string, and the answer is yes. It can travel even that far. There's something really special about the magical invisible string, and I want you to imagine just for a second everyone that you are connected with this invisible string. And then think about everyone they are connected with, and then they are connected with, and so on and so forth. That is the magic of the invisible string. Because even though you can't see it and you can't touch it, you can always feel it in your heart. And at this very moment, it is connecting me with all of you in this room, with everyone at home on Zoom, and even wider than that. Thank you.
Excuse me. Immortality by Leslie Takahashi. In the daily weave of our lives, those who have died are still strong, guiding threads. Theirs is the golden glimmer, or perhaps the brilliant red, or the melancholy blue. Still, they are part of the whole cloth of our lives. They are the ancestors, the goers before. Through this, we know immortality. In the hour-to-hour rush of our daily tasks, they travel with us, something they taught us, which is now ours to do, through something they loved, which is now ours to carry out, through something we shared that is now ours alone, but yet not. Through this, we know immortality. In the minute-to-minute grasp of where we are, we remember the joys our departed gave us, which opened us up to hope. The sorrows we knew together, which taught us strength. The life shared, which is now ours to steward. Through this, we know immortality. In the second-to-second pulse of life, we sense the spirit of those we have loved and lost. This presence is too shy for naming, too amorphous for full knowing, and yet as real as the days we shared. Through this, we know immortality. They are more than remembered. They are memory itself. That what we love lives on in the way our beloved dead accompany us through our lives, through their words and wisdom, our guide, their humor, our relief, their restless concern for the world, our charge. Through this, we know immortality.
In July 2020, just a few months into the pandemic, when my daughter was just 1 year old, we had to make a trip up to Minnesota. It was a long drive, almost 8 hours. And poor Madeline was not a fan of being in the car that long. Now, normally we would stop at a rest area a couple times and let her get out, let us get out, have something to eat, run around outside. But because of COVID, we were really trying to play it safe and limit our interactions with other people. So it was a rough trip. But along the way, I thought of something to keep us all safe and sane. I thought, okay, well, if we can't necessarily pull into a rest area or a truck stop because we don't want to interact with people, how about we take a break at the cemetery where my grandparents are buried in Ellendale, Minnesota? So we did. It was perfect. The timing was right. It was right off Interstate 35, about halfway into our trip. The weather was perfect, one of those gorgeous Minnesota days, 70 degrees and sunny in the summer with a nice breeze, and it was COVID safe. We had the place to ourselves. So we pulled out our cooler and had a picnic lunch right there next to the plots where my grandmother and grandfather rest. So picture this, the juxtaposition of sweet, round, giggly little 1-year-old Madeline next to her great-grandparents' headstones. It was so stunning, I had to take a picture, which maybe sounds macabre to some of you, but it was a meaningful moment for me. And I really like the picture. I still have it, treasure it. Madeline never had a chance to meet her great-grandparents in life, but I want her to know them. I want her to know her roots, where she comes from. I want her to have a connection with her ancestors. They may be dead, but they are with us still. Death is not the end of family or love or friendship or community. But because death is a part of the human experience, it is also a part of our relationships with one another. In many spiritual traditions and places around the world and across history, today and the next few days in the calendar are a sacred time of year to honor this truth. Samhain and Halloween today, All Saints' Day and Dia de los Muertos tomorrow, All Souls' Day after that. So Samhain was an ancient Celtic tradition that's been picked up anew and is currently celebrated and honored by neo-pagans and Wiccans. It observes the end of the harvest season and the beginning of winter. It is considered the pagan New Year, and it is the most important holiday or ritual day of the year for them. Samhain is a time to turn inward and prepare for the year ahead. And it is also widely considered by neo-pagans and Wiccans to be the time of year when the veil between the worlds of the living and the dead is the thinnest, and so it is a time to honor the dead and remember our departed ancestors. Halloween, as we know it today, and as many of us will be celebrating later, is a curious blend of some of these ancient Samhain and ancient Celtic traditions and All Hallows Eve. All Hallows Eve, which of course got shortened to Halloween, marks the hallowed evening before All Saints' Day. All Saints' Day in the Catholic calendar is a day to honor and remember all the departed Christian souls who are in heaven. Those who were faithful in life, beloved by God and welcomed into heaven. But it wasn't always celebrated on November 1st. Up until the 8th century, All Hallows Eve and All Saints' Day were celebrated in May. They were moved to this time of year at some point in the mid-700s by the Catholic Church. perhaps to coincide with, maybe even compete with or supersede Samhain and some of these ancient pagan festivals of the dead, but we can't exactly say for sure why the move was made. But what we do know for sure is that people didn't just pray for all the saints. They prayed for everyone. All the sinners, the lost, the least, those by the definition of the church may have not necessarily been welcomed into heaven. They prayed for all the ancestors, all the souls, no matter what kind of lives they lived, whatever blessings they may or may not have received in this life or the afterlife. All souls. So the Catholic Church noticed this, said, okay, we'll have an All Souls Day too. So November 2nd is All Souls Day in the Catholic Church, a day to remember everyone, not just the saints in heaven, but everyone. This tradition started in the 900s. As a Universalist, All Souls Day is one of my favorite days of the year. It boldly proclaims a theology that I am particularly fond of, one that I hold dear, and that is that all are beloved. All return to the same sacred source. In the end, all are saved, no matter what. No one is damned or forgotten. All souls, no exceptions. You may know or have even visited one of these churches, but so did you know that a lot of our UU churches are named All Souls? Yeah? There's an All Souls UU church in New York City. There's one in DC. There's one in Tulsa. That's our biggest UU church in Tulsa. Kansas City, Indianapolis, Louisiana, Colorado, Massachusetts. There are All Souls churches all over the place in our tradition. All souls is an important concept to us as UUs. Now, of course, these churches were named as such after American Unitarian William Ellery Channing proclaimed in a 19th century sermon that I am a living member of the great family of all souls. That's what he said. I am a living member of the great family of all souls. You've probably heard of Channing. He's a giant in our UU history. But what I love about this sermon that he gave is that he embraced this concept of all souls and universalism and added an important layer, for me anyway, which included the living with the dead in the great cloud of witnesses. Channing declared that in death and in life, we are all in this together, no exceptions. It's interesting, for me anyway, perhaps to you too, to think that Channing made this theological observation, profound as it is, at a time in our American history when so many people were enslaved. So, how do we wrap our heads around that? He was speaking of the enslaved and the slaveholders, the oppressed and the oppressors, everyone, good, bad, and everyone in between, which of course is all of us. And that's a hard concept to hold, universalism, isn't it? That even the ones who hurt us are included in this all souls business. It's a tough theology to live into. I don't know if I'm doing it particularly well, but I'm trying. Universalism helps me when I think about death. It is scary. It is a mystery. I won't lie about that. And in our modern day American culture, it doesn't get any easier by the fact that we avoid death. We keep it far away, out of sight. We don't let ourselves live with it or process it. We stuff it away and deny it. And when it does touch us personally and happens within our own lives and families, we're expected to move on quickly through the grief and not get all messy with it. In other words, we don't let death take up very much space in our culture. And all this discomfort and avoidance is not doing us any favors. I believe talking about death can help us feel less scared about it. Talking about death can help us live with it, even when it breaks our hearts. And this is another reason why I'm so fond of All Souls Day. People need a chance to talk about this and to engage in rituals around it. This time of year, whether it's Samhain or Halloween or All Saints or All Souls, whatever it is, there are lots of opportunities for us to engage in intentional ritual in this autumn season. And all of these things are so beneficial to our spiritual health. Lots of religious traditions and cultures know this, of course, and practice it. For example, I recently learned that in Mexico, people celebrate Dia de los Muertos, or the Day of the Dead, which coincides with All Saints' Day, by having picnics at the grave sites of their ancestors. They bring foods that the dead enjoyed in life. They relax, laugh, linger in the presence of their beloved departed. I didn't necessarily know that, and I wasn't thinking about it during our spontaneous graveside picnic that summer day in 2020, but it makes a lot of sense to me now. My grandparents may be dead, but they're still in my family, and our love for one another survives. It felt right and good to go and meet them, share a meal in their presence. In a way, it lessened my grief about their death. It lessened my grief to remember them that way. And I know I'm not alone in this. Death has touched this congregation recently. This fall alone, we have lost a few members and friends. In the last year and a half, we have lost thousands of people in this area alone due to COVID-19. Death has been near and impacted us all. At this church, even though in our culture we try to shove it away and deny it, it's impossible to do so because our campus literally includes a graveyard, a beautiful graveyard. In preparation for today, I spent a lot of time out there this week, walking around, reading the headstones. It really is a magical place. And with the weather being what it is right now, it was especially gorgeous. So I recommend taking a walk later if you haven't around this time of year. And when you do so, you will be humbled to take in the generations of Charleston Unitarians who are buried out there. It's awe-inspiring to see their names and recognize how insignificant we all are in the face of eternity, how short life is in the context of all time. So I have that experience every day as I walk back and forth from Gage Hall to the church and back and forth. And I know a lot of you do too, right? We walking these paths constantly. We walk on sacred ground. We weave ourselves into the fabric of history. Whatever you want to say about this church, one thing's for sure, you can't ignore death around here. Every time we have coffee hour outside, an outdoor service or event, we're surrounded by our beloved ancestors. And isn't that an amazing gift? Isn't that a beautiful gift? I'm grateful for this reminder every day, for the daily invitation it provides to live a full life, a good life, to honor the fact that we are all part of the community of all souls, living and dead, no exceptions. So, As we honor the festivals of the dead and our ancestors this week, I hope you'll take a walk outside. I hope you'll find a meaningful moment in your week to do some spiritual reflection on this topic. And I also wonder if this might be a good opportunity for us to think about what it means that we are becoming ancestors. Someday we will be ancestors. Imagine, right? Our descendants someday are going to come here, have church, commune with us, and maybe even have a picnic with us out there after we're gone. On that day, what stories do you want to be told? How do you want to be remembered? I hope that our descendants look back and say, they lived well. We lived fully. In the face of the universal truth that to live is also to die, we found meaning and lived with joy. We never stopped seeing the light or experiencing awe. We embraced all souls in life, here, now, on earth, in time, and we loved wastefully. We blessed the world with this love. I hope that they feel it then, and I hope you can feel it now with that invisible string that Danielle talked about, connecting us across space and time. So may our descendants know this love, may you know this love, and may we all experience it in the fullness of time. May this be so. May we be the ones to make it so.
Thank you, Reverend Rebecca, for those amazing words. Throughout the month of October, as many of you are probably aware because we've been doing it all month, we are sharing the plate with Charleston Habitat for Humanity. After Social Justice Sunday, we received a matching fund gift. Dollar for dollar, your donation to Habitat will be matched up to $2,000. This is an opportunity to double your impact. Donations given to the Sunday offering in Breeze will be split 50-50 with the church and with Charleston Habitat. You also have the option to give a direct donation to Habitat in Breeze for those of you online. And if you're here in person, you may place your cash or check in the basket at the rear of the church. Any checks placed in the basket or mailed to the church should be noted, share the plate, or Habitat grant, or something in the line.
I'd like to invite us all now into a time of reverence as we hear the entries from the Book of Life. First off, today is Sandra Salvatelli's birthday, so she is enjoying a much-deserved day off. So happy birthday, Sandra. Great news from Nancy Hild and the Social Justice Committee. Anna, the Guatemalan mother of 3 little girls, has received her work card and Social Security number, which will enable her to secure a more reliable job. Let's keep in our hearts Anna's 6-year-old daughter, Sylvia, who recently arrived from Guatemala and is facing extensive dental surgery on November 9th. Nancy is also currently working on a new passport for Sylvia and green cards for the other 2 children, Lucia, age 9, and Sharon, age 4. Nancy has been working closely with the family on just about every aspect of their lives, so thank you, Nancy, for all you do for them. Nancy Groh and Tony Brown are happy to announce the birth of baby Everett to Nancy's niece, Lisa Fordham, yesterday in Charleston. Everett will be a welcomed addition to this extended family, especially to his 4-year-old cousin, Maggie. Best wishes to the family. Many of you have read the article in the Life section of last Sunday's Post and Courier about a new book by James Lundy titled The History of the Poetry Society of South Carolina, 1920 to 2021. Included is a portion about our own Carol Furtwängler, who, as the Society president in the 1990s, was productive in furthering racial diversity by facilitating the appointment of a Black board member and including Black poets for reading. A wonderful legacy. And a beautiful memorial service was held yesterday in the churchyard for Tobias Van Buren's son, Mark, who was killed in an auto accident recently in Vermont. Mark was remembered as a child growing up in our church for his positive and outgoing personality traits, which were shared about him in eulogies by his cousins yesterday. Tobias and his family remain in our thoughts. And let us continue in prayer by listening to this sacred thread by Heather Daniels. They once dwelled among us, the people of memory, they who knew us, they who taught us, they who hurt us, they who loved us. They touched our lives time and again through their presence and their absence, through familiar scents and favorite songs, through old stories and renewed sorrow. As the earth turns and leaves fall, we reach back to renew the bonds between us. With hearts and hands open, we hold on to love ever stronger than death. We reach back in gratitude and understanding. Without our time together, the pain and the joy, we would never be who we are today. We would have little to pass on ourselves. Without fear, with thanksgiving, and with hope for all that awaits, we remember those who have gone before. We honor the cycle of life and death and our place within this sacred thread. I believe you each have a candle. This is a good time to pull it out. Those of you at home are invited to do the same and have a candle to light in your own home. I invite you now to light a candle of memory. As you recall your beloved dead, as you receive the light, I invite you to speak their names softly out loud if you wish, or you can simply hold their names in the stillness of your heart. We're going to hold all of these ancestors in the stillness of silence for just a few moments, and then in the context of a musical meditation after that. So let us light our candles and be silent together for just a moment.
I'd like to invite Kathleen King down to extinguish our chalice, and also you all to gently blow out your candles as well. Lighting a candle is somewhat like the beginning of life. If that is true, then perhaps extinguishing a candle is like the ending of a life. But death is not the end. Those we loved live on in our memories. The influence they possessed in life works on, moving persons or causes forward. Let us not forget. that most candles have more than one life, and so do those we loved.
We have shared an hour of sober reflection, opened ourselves up to communion with the ancestors, and touched the cycle of life and death, light and dark. And still, we can celebrate. We can celebrate life. As my colleague, Reverend Sarah Lindsay, says, we can celebrate being alive. We celebrate with costumes and play. We celebrate with joyful promises of tricks and treats. We celebrate the possibility that there is more than we understand. Go in peace. Happy Halloween.